Yes, that's right. We are here. Big Brother Canada finale. Somebody's watching, and it was us. Uh, oh yeah, big news. Kevin wins in a surprise. I like to call this when the person who wins final three HOH or final three or whatever it is in Survivor, you should really win the game because you should know who to take. And tonight was one of those Cody Calafiore moments. It was one where the person who won lost. And that's what we're here to break down. I'm Jeff Mader, your host here on Super Mader Bros Podcasting, joined as always by Jaemeel Robinson. My brother Dave is just catching up. He will join us soon. But Jaemeel, how do you feel here at the conclusion here of Big Brother Canada 10?
Well, I made this quote at work a couple of days ago, and people didn't really understand. And here's a prime example.
Okay.
Sometimes when you win, you really lose. And sometimes when you lose, you really win. And we saw it with Josh, and we
Yep.
saw it with Kevin.
So true. So true here tonight. Like I think I was kind of bummed out when Josh won the final HOH or whatever when he won the final three. Like tonight, I was excited. I was hoping Kevin was gonna get to the end, but I was also kind of hoping that he won his way there. The way this all broke down, I was like, oh, like I was kind of just surprised. Like I think most of us were as shocked as Betty was when she walked out that door tonight.
She was so pissed. It was great.
I loved when she walked out. She was like, "Don't clap for me, and don't be happy to see me."
Her exact words, because I wrote it down. I wrote it down. I did a pretty lengthy recap of this. Is when she came out,
Mhm.
she said, I want to get the words exactly correct.
It was like basically right, like don't clap for me, fuck you guys, or something like that. Like,
Um, she said, sorry.
was it don't be happy to see me? It was something like that.
She said, um, um, I'm not happy with how happy you all are. Sit
Right.
the fuck down.
Right. Okay. Same sentiment, the little bit different wording. Yeah, Betty tonight, like I think a lot of people kind of were cheering for her at home. I think people wanted her to win. Um, but at the same time, like she was like kind of a passenger here. I thought it was ironic her whole vote for the one lone vote for Josh tonight, and she kind of gives that salty remark when she puts her key in. I'm voting for the one player who played the game. It's like you're the only one who thinks this, Betty.
See, this is the problem when people have the opinion of people being good versus people being evil. Like some people, when they are,
Right.
facing off against other people, they're like, "You are my enemy. You are the bad person." It's like what's his name from Baby Driver, who's
Mhm.
making this elaborate story about the bank. They took our money. They came
Right.
into our house late at night, and we're
Jamie
just getting
Foxx.
it back.
Yeah.
Bats,
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx's character.
Right.
That's Betty. That's Betty to a T. And great that you use it in your real life to motivate you, but it's kind of also sad that you don't see the bigger picture. You don't see behind the facade.
And what happened to Bats in that movie? Baby Driver drove him into a steel beam. So, I think that's kind of what happens here tonight is Josh, her closest ally, drove her into a steel beam here and kind of blindsided her. Didn't even give her a heads up. Like Josh did that a bunch throughout this season,
Mhm.
and I think that's kind of he didn't get the respect that I think he kind of actually deserved, but he didn't earn it. Like he kind of pissed people off on the way out. Like he definitely pissed off Summer, the wrong person to piss off. We saw her tonight really yucking it up like every second. It was like I'm on TV, and she literally said that at one point. I was like, oh my god, like do you see yourself sometimes, Summer? Like I get it, but like it's a bit much. Like I think
I mentioned it before. It's not a type of person I want in the jury at all.
right, like
At all.
she would have been a better pre-jury. I think you would rather have had like a Kyle. You string him along into the to the merge, and I think you'd rather have that person on the jury than Summer, and he would have been an easy out. But that was the week they just everyone had to get him out, which I thought was you know
Premature.
premature. Yeah, I thought like he had a bad HOH, sure, but you know I thought it was kind of strange the way that whole house blew up on him. I thought he was the only guy in the pre-jury. I was like, I would have liked to see him play longer.
Yeah,
That was for me anyway. The
I
rest of
think
them, I didn't really feel that way.
really I thought like Tanisha was a better player than Summer. Um,
Yeah,
even Jessica seemed to, even though they made so many bad decisions,
yeah.
I still felt like, would I prefer uh, Jessica over Betty? I think I would have gotten a lot more of a little bit more fight and a little bit more strategic and not so much being a hypocrite. Now,
Mhm.
Jess themselves was a hypocrite as well in the amount of lies they told, but still,
She
like,
was a yeah. Sorry, Jess was a better player
than
than than Betty. Yeah, even like yeah, she Jess would have been a good person to have seen go a little further in the game too. So Jess and Kyle for me. The rest of them, Stephanie, um, you know,
she got to be a me. Way to go.
yeah,
Way to
like
go.
she did bring a lot to the show. Same with Melina and
Jay.
Jay was yeah, that
Jay
was
was the perfect second boot.
yeah, he kind of Jay made sense to be the person to kind of go early in that game just because the the strategic play was kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at that early the jury boots, that's kind of why the house was so chaotic because there was no way for like a big alliance to form, which actually made it kind of like definitely an entertaining season.
You look, you are the one who usually does not like BBCAN,
Right,
right? And for for all the reasons that for the most part still existed, but
right,
you got like the perfect season where a big alliance didn't form, showmances didn't control the game.
yeah,
There was a dynamic aspect to the entire house. You got to see strategy actually being played, and it was showed on the show as opposed to like usually only being on the feeds and you getting some kind of narrative that's sappy and you don't really care about week to week.
right.
Yeah. So
Yes,
this was your
there's a lot of
season.
that. This was my season, absolutely, and like Kevin winning represents the type of player that I would like to play as if I went into one of these houses. Like I think a lot of people, I think, related with Kevin, even the jury did, because he's kind of the everyman. He's like really, he's not the person you would cast automatically or think, oh, that's a Big Brother player. But I think that's great that Kevin won because he's the type of person that should get on Big Brother, a person that's smart, strategic, isn't necessarily a model, but is a real person and has a real personality, and all of them I felt like for the most part, except maybe Stephanie, and maybe even a little like a touch Jacey-Lynne, but Jacey-Lynne at least I thought brought a little bit something to the show.
I
They were all
kept her
individuals, and
kept her head
I
on
like that.
at the end game. I felt like I liked
Yes,
her end game better
after
than,
Gino.
yeah, better than
Yeah,
her prior game where she was basically just arm candy for Gino.
yeah, it's kind of, and she allowed that to be her game. She wanted to hide behind Gino because she knew it would get her further in the game, and it did. But she didn't end up really controlling anything with him. They had such opportunity to do that throughout the season, but at least she was involved. I felt like like a Stephanie was just floating along in the game. You know,
Stephanie was the one who wanted to hook up with people.
yeah,
Remember how uh, I was listening to the impressions again, and Stephanie was one of the well, not Stephanie in general, but I was talking about Jason, but it also applied to Stephanie about individuals who are looking to get into a showmance, and what happens when people start hooking up, and you're the one who doesn't end up hooking up with someone, and you're just left there to just rot and you have nowhere to go. And that's exactly what happened with Stephanie. She was easy to flip on because she did not have any strong ties, right, that she actually had cemented in the game.
hmm yeah. And like we kind of saw that with Herman and Moose too. Like that's why I think they were like the first two merge boots, and then you kind of got to see kind of like how, like really how Kevin and Helena navigated things to throughout the game. But I was surprised everyone kind of recognized that, and like I was surprised Kevin was a little over shocked that he won with so many votes, but
So
uh,
confused.
he was so confused. I think he thought it was going to be like a 5-4 vote, or I think he thought it was going to be close. And I kind of thought it was going to be closer. I thought, Josh should have probably got like a Summer and Herman and Betty, like and Moose. Like I kind of expected those people to kind of vote toward Josh, and then we had like Jacey-Lynne, Gino, Marty. I saw kind of voting Kevin's way, Helena. You know, but then once he got like Moose and Herman, I was like, oh, it's over. You know, and what did Kevin do so right? I don't know. Maybe it was just like Helena really argued well for him, and that was and like the rest of them, like Summer and certain people, like weren't really arguing for Josh, and Betty showed up late. She was got there with the dress on, so I don't think she had a lot of time to argue for
Very
Josh.
true. Um, I think another issue. Oh well, not an issue, but I think Kevin did a great job explaining his game. Right? He did everything he needed to do, and
Yeah.
it was his argument was about the game itself,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
props to Josh in terms of looking to be that representative, but this season wasn't about that in
No.
terms of looking for that type of winner. It wasn't that type of cast who was particularly interested in that. They
Mhm.
got soundly played, and Josh not really emphasizing the fact that he played a great game was, I think, his downfall.
Yeah, he kind of half did it, and then he kind of half lent into like I'm Aboriginal, LGBTQ. Like he kind of leaned into that narrative a little too much. That I did think when he did explain his game, like when he was explaining it to Summer, and that's why I voted you out. And she kind of took it like, well, I thought, oh, maybe he'll get her vote. No, Summer walked in before anything happened, knowing she was never giving Josh her vote. She said as much in the jury
She
sequence.
is so petty. It comes across as like I don't know why anyone would want to do business with someone like that.
Unlikable. That's how I felt as like just like any audience as are watching her. I don't see a lot of people going, "Oh, I love Summer." Like because I think she came across like like very petty and very like how they asked Helena, I think it was Kiefer asked Helena like, "Are you guys open-minded or are you guys, how are you guys doing or whatever?" And Lena's like, "Oh, definitely open-minded with a dash of bitter." And that dash I think was Summer.
Oh my gosh, so much so. Like at least like Betty was angry from the time that she walked out, but by the time she sat down and took a breath, she was already kind of over it, right?
Yeah, like when she started talking to Arissa when she first walked out of the house, she was like, I got Big Brother. Like she was not like steaming. Like a lot of people that come out at that third place slot are steaming. And I think she was just shocked. The fact that I was shocked. I think Kevin was shocked. I think
Yeah,
Kevin definitely thought he was sitting on the jury. And I think Josh wins tonight if he takes Betty. I think it's Woo.
absolutely.
It's the Woo moment all over again. Like Woo wins that final immunity, takes Tony. Should have taken Chaos Cass. I think he would have beat her.
I agree.
Um, it's those things are so crucial in this game. And most of the time, like when Arissa started talking, like, "Oh, this is the biggest decision someone's got to make," I think even Arissa believed,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, so this is going to be pretty straightforward. Josh is going to take Betty, and it's not great TV, and blah blah blah." And then it wasn't. It was the opposite. He
She's like,
eliminated
"Oh
Betty.
my gosh, this man is gonna give me was it a genie award? I'm gonna win a genie award for this season."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
A genie is in my future.
yeah,
I was really surprised by just his decision making. It fit the whole season. Everyone kind of made decisions that weren't in their best interests, and it was so weird to see it happen on the final night because I thought Josh was smarter when he took out Helena. I was like, okay, Josh is on to it. Like he sees what's going on.
yeah.
You know, and even like Kevin admitted tonight, like, oh, I would have taken Helena, and I think Josh was a little hurt by that. He was like, oh, really? You know?
It was like, bro, you got played too. That was that's the that's what it was. I think he honestly believed that he could beat Betty, I think he didn't
Yeah.
have understanding of the jury and how the jury felt. You saw that jury. The jury did not like Betty one bit and was happy that she was eliminated.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like, I thought no matter what, Betty was going to sit in the final two chairs. I said last episode, I was like, I don't see any possibility in where Kevin and Josh sit together. Like, I think Kevin takes Betty, right? Like, I don't think if Kevin wins that, you know, number chalkboard thing here, I think he probably takes Betty. I don't think he would have risked taking Josh, and yet he would have won unanimously probably anyway, except for the
Yeah,
Josh voting Betty and Betty voting Josh,
yeah,
which
yeah.
was not how I saw this going. Like I really saw like it was Josh versus Kevin tonight. It kind of reminded me of Survivor last week or this week, where it was like a little bit of Lindsay versus Jonathan. You know, it was like, all right, who's gonna kind of prevail here? And then neither person goes home. You know,
Crazy.
it ends up being high. You know, and it's kind of the same thing here. It's like, oh, it ends up Betty goes to the jury because of Josh. And I think did you Jamil, did you think like Josh making that decision also hurt him getting any votes? They were like, really, bro?
No,
Like,
no. But my issue isn't the fact that he sent Betty. I think
right.
if he made like, look, I had an emotional ties to everyone,
Mhm.
and I made alliances with everyone, and I cut every single person I needed to get to the end. I
Right.
made my like he didn't own how cutthroat he was,
Right.
and Kevin owned up to everything, right? He bathed in the blood of his enemies. Josh didn't, but Josh had just as much blood on his hands
If
as
not more, because
if not more.
he made more crucial decisions. Like, yeah, he literally had Summer's blood on his hands, and Betty, and Helena, and like he made some big moves. Marty, you know, all these people he
Marty,
direct.
Tito, Summer,
Yeah,
Helena, Betty.
Josh directly got rid of those people, and
Yeah.
yet all of them except for Betty voted for the other guy.
And it's not like Marty was being bitter. Marty
No,
didn't Marty was just picking whoever he thought was the best.
I
Right?
think there's a situation tonight, Jameel, where if Josh bays more in the blood than Kevin, that he might win. You know, or he might lose 5-4 because of the Canada vote. You know,
True. But at least it would have been, I think, a better showing than what he did.
hmm I think he could have argued that one, you know, better, for sure. Like, just because, but maybe it wouldn't have mattered. Like, maybe the people like a Summer were never gonna change their vote. We're never gonna waver off, and it was kind of like he did like. And what can you say in like 20 seconds? Hey, sorry, I didn't get a chance to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I voted you out because I didn't want to vote you out later. You know, it was a great opportunity to get rid of you. You
Yeah.
know, he compliments her, right? He says, you know, you had a great social game in the house, so I had to get rid of you. You know, but it wasn't enough for Summer, and it wasn't enough for like a Herman and Moose. They didn't see a winner in him.
I think if it was Josh versus Betty, Summer would have wanted to vote for Josh because I don't think she liked Betty either.
Yeah, that would have been interesting to see where the votes would have laid there, because it would have been closer for sure.
So, I kind of took notes for like the entire episode. So, after the lengthy series recap and the season recap and
Oh God, it's like half the episode.
13 minutes,
Yeah.
13 minutes. HOH Part 1, the Egyptian Stacker Challenge. Did you like this challenge?
Yeah, I thought it was the best challenge of the three.
I would agree so. I would agree as well.
I liked it. It was like it was definitely difficult. I thought it was filmed well. It was taped, you know, obviously. So but the second one I didn't like very much. It was boring.
The question slide, which you knew Josh just destroyed her in. It felt that long. It felt
It
like
was it would have been a lot closer had that been Josh and Kevin, or Kevin and Betty. I think even Kevin would have beat her, but
yeah,
you know, 2 hours. Come, that's real bad.
yeah.
Like that's
Um,
like he got half an hour. He beat her in like a quarter of the time it took her.
he could have went to the house,
Yeah,
go to the bathroom, wash some dishes,
had a
come
nap, woke up, and
stretch,
then
and what?
and then what? Yeah,
Oh Lord.
like she did so bad. Like I wonder how long it took her just to get that Marty being beanbag. Was that like an hour of her just trying to get that one beanbag to land? You know?
I figured that like there probably was like she made a mistake and it fell to another one and then she had to erase everything and do it all over again, and then she did the like it was probably like a combination of that plus missing it repeatedly and having to go and get the bags and collect them and then go all the way back up and just being tired.
Yeah.
But still, that's a really bad performance.
2 hours is too long. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
rough.
you stop the competition. Is like you're not winning.
Yeah. Like I wonder if she went second too. Like the producers are like, how long do we let this go?
Well, when she finishes, she's like, "At least I finished it." Wow.
Right.
Yeah. And
No,
I
for
think
sure.
Josh knew he won because you could just see his lips start shivering. He's so obvious when like he knows that he won something. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. So after that, they did the cast couch talk with Kiefer. Were you happy to see Kiefer back?
Yeah, I thought is he the new Dr. Will? Like, is that what's going on here on Big Brother Canada?
He's the sassy one from last season who was
Uh-huh.
getting into fights and had a good. He was like the Marty of last season, right? Yeah, I
Okay.
would say
Yeah, was
Marty.
is Marty gonna do it this year next year?
Why wouldn't
I do
you?
kind of like that. Bring someone back. Bring someone. I would like that tradition. Bring someone back from last year. That was like even if they gave it to whoever the fan favorite was, like
Just
that
nuts
that
on.
that's who it is. It's that the fan favorite gets to come back. Like whoever wins Canada's favorite player. So like next year would be Marty gets to come back and host or whatever.
If I was Arissa, I'm like Summer is banned from any other Big Brother future appearances. We don't want that type of element in the production. Like
Right.
because she will do whatever she needs to do to be front and center and put herself above the production. You don't want to work with someone like that.
I would
So
imagine she annoyed the production at some point. You
yeah.
know.
Um, so they were having comments about the final three. So I bring this up because we were talking about Betty and how people felt about her. So we're
Mhm.
talking about Betty. Marty said positive things, like was expressing that he was very proud of her for her comp wins. Helena was very neutral on her, saying that she always was beside a bigger target and therefore, even though she was on the block, she wasn't really in danger.
Mhm.
Uh, Herman questioned her strategy to be weak,
Mhm.
um, and Summer felt that she had good relationship with some folks, um, which is like I guess the best Summer could do in terms of um, like really breaking down someone's game. Um, so when it came to Kevin, Moose said he loved his game. He was very loyal and manipulative.
Mhm.
Helena gave him like made him look so good, mastermind who thought ahead but always focused on the current situation. Marty talked about his character, good representative of the season, which right then and there, I'm like, Marty's voting for Kevin, like unless someone wows him in his speech because he seems locked in on Kevin. Now with Josh, Kiefer asked who was in a relationship with Josh, and everyone raised their hands. Summer said that he was in all of her alliances. Jay said he played an incredible social game. Gino was very keyed in on the fact that he played a low key game, but then he went all out in the end. But then Moose was like, "Yeah, but if he was aligned with everyone, was he really aligned with anyone? Right? Did he have any actual loyalty?
Mhm.
Right?" And I think because he didn't really hammer that home, right? The no loyalty thing just rings as a character flaw as opposed to a character strength to me,
Mm.
right? So then,
Yeah.
oh, you were saying
No.
something?
No. Good.
Okay. Next was the final with the jury is wild uh, thing, which was
Yeah.
a roller coaster in itself. Um, Jeff,
Mhm.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired of dates. I'm tired of
Me too.
they need to stop with this. I'm tired of it. It is boring. I
It
don't
is.
care. I don't want to know in day 44 who had more nominations or who, like, no one,
Yeah.
they don't even recap to let us know exactly what the answer is. Like, like Big Brother US would do it. Like, if they ask a question like that, they will rewind and show us an example of the answer. So we're like, oh, right? They don't
Mhm.
just give you the answer. Like,
Did
you're
you
not
like?
wrong.
Did you like the whole like Hollywood Squares thing they did? Oh, look who's coming in. Well, ask Dave maybe this question. Dave,
Woo! He won.
Jeez.
I kind of watched this whole episode with the view from Dave's lens, if you will, Jaemeel.
Yeah.
And I just went, oh, here Dave's will be upset here. Oh, Dave will be really upset now that Josh has won part 3 now. Part,
I thought it was over. I thought it was over, guys. I thought for Kevin.
I think
You
everyone
know,
did. I think even Betty.
Even Kevin.
yeah, like I'm like, how is he not going to take Betty? How is he not going to take Betty? Right? And then like Jane was ahead of me in the episode, right? Because I was doing the Star Trek podcast earlier, and so I accidentally I went into the bedroom just to change my shorts quickly, and then
Was it that
because
good? Was the podcast that good that you just had to change your shorts?
no, it was because like I left a little too late for my jog, right? And then I got back and I had to jump right into the Star Trek podcast back to back. And so like I was basically, I was just like, I got to change my shorts. And then I saw Betty on the thing, and then it was clearly like they were in the jury phase. I'm like, oh, Betty's like in the final
So-
two. Okay,
yes.
so it's either Kevin took Betty or Josh took Betty, right? But then I watched this whole thing play out, and Betty gets evicted by Josh. like what? I don't know. Like I guess and hats off to Kevin. Like woo. Like he must have convinced Josh that Betty was going to win, but there's no way Betty was going to win, right? Like
It would have been closer, Josh versus Betty.
or Kevin versus Betty.
Or no,
Well, I think Kevin would have smoked her.
yeah, he would have smoked her too. I just think the Josh versus Betty would have been the closest vote. Closest vote.
Yeah, but that jury did not like Betty at all.
No, but they didn't seem to like Josh either. So
True.
Yeah.
So
But
I think
But I think being bested by Josh would have been a lot more palpable than being bested by Betty.
you're right. I just think there would have been more votes that went Betty's way than
True.
it could be just because there was some anti-Josh votes that occurred. I think like Josh was Jaemeel was saying earlier that Josh would have probably lost to Betty, would have beat Betty, but I think Betty would have got like Summer's vote, and Jaemeel disagreed. But I think Summer was very petty towards
Josh in particular. Yeah, I think that I think that Summer would have been a protest vote against Josh just based on what her story was and how like who's more self-centered than Summer. Nobody on the planet. Like just at the end where they're like, "Hey, Summer, what did you think of that little montage?" She's like, "Oh, I was on TV." Oh,
yeah, she literally said, "I'm on TV," and did like the whole.
Thank you. She's like she's like Lex Luger, right? Like she's like pre-American Dream.
The narcissist runs deep.
The narcissist, of Summer, and it was, she was just whatever, So I think that could happen. Betty maybe could have got. I don't know who else
might have voted for her.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah. I could see Marty doing that.
Betty gained a lot of respect from Marty because Marty put her up and she took herself down, and I think Marty always looked back at that and says, he's like, she proved me wrong, that she was a much better competitor.
Woo! Take that, Marty!
Also tonight, guys, like Josh, we were talking about it earlier, Dave, that Josh did not articulate what he did in this game very well at all. I think that's why he got no votes. Like I think like he leaned on certain things. One was his challenge ability, which I don't think should really matter all that much, and I'm glad this jury didn't vote that way. Number two, he leaned on like his identity. you know, the fact he's Aboriginal and LGBTQ, and I think that people are going to vote for you because of that. You know, not this year anyway.
Not this particular year, but it's kind of a combination of things. Yeah, like I think it's.
I just think when you get to the end, you have to explain how you got there and what you did to make sure you got there, and why you wanted to sit beside whoever, and you really need to articulate all those things. Go ahead, Jaemeel.
And also why you had to eliminate everyone else because they would have beaten you. And Kevin did that in spades. Made
Yeah.
the cast feel good about voting for him. Josh did not.
Okay, Kevin's like there's the two things: how they answered the jury questions, and then what their final like little pitch was. And in both cases, Kevin's answers were better, Josh's were a little weaker, and then in their final pitches, Josh just was like going so fast. It was clearly rehearsed, but he was trying to spew out all this information, and it wasn't super compelling. Whereas Kevin like had a really good pitch at the end, you know, to each one of those jurors, and he was like, I think that they were just like, yeah, man, like I can get behind this, and
yeah, like when he was using phrases like "that's why you had to go" at this point, it really made it sound like Kevin was controlling the season, which he was. But Josh needed to kind of, you know, come back and say like, hey man, like I won I won the triple eviction. I won this. I won that. I made sure Marty got out of here. I made sure like it wasn't you, it was me. And like he didn't do any of that. You know, I thought.
Yeah, like I think the other thing too is Josh's game was just less flashy, less exciting, you know, kind of like him. You know, it was just more methodical. You know, just like, hey, you know, like
Jeff, should I play the Jeff the clip about Josh?
Yep. Play
Okay.
it.
All right, hold on.
Here's sound one from Jaemeel.
okay.
All right.
He's about to get it going.
Let's talk about our second overall pick, Josh Nash. Who? Let's just find his photo here.
Two first names.
Oh, is this Josh Nash is a 28-year-old pediatric resident. He's a doctor in training from Vancouver. He has 11 siblings, and he knows a thing or two about sharing a house with many personalities.
Jeez.
He will have no problem being a team player and creating strong alliances until he needs to break off all ties and fly solo to the end.
No. He's going to be a hot mess.
Jeff, are you sad you didn't get a chance to pick Josh Nash?
Most of these people, I'm not sad. I'm only honestly I'm between two people that I've actually kind of studied, and neither of them have been picked. So, and Kevin, Jake, those two people were Kevin and Marty, and I ended up picking Marty instead of Kevin.
Right, because you had the third pick in the draft,
which Amanda is the winner.
Amanda won this, and I remember like when she picked Kevin, I put like the whoa emoji on her pick. I was like, oh, Kevin, because I took Kevin on the cast assessment. Like this guy is just gonna come in like I'm a schemer and you can't get me, and he'll be so obvious that he would just get evicted off the bat, and he almost did. You know, he was on the block week one, and Melina went.
Assessment?
Yeah. Do you have how we assess Kevin? Because Kevin went like 6 overall, but I could have taken Kevin.
Okay, so
I took Tynesha instead.
Let's play Kevin.
I have to
Kevin Jacobs.
Kevin Jacobs, he's called. Now, Kevin Jacobs, 28 years old. He's a sales engineer.
He engineers the sales.
He has a diabolical plan to lie, trick, and pit the other house guests against each other, all while still making them laugh. Well, that's a trick.
Yeah. Good luck, buddy.
He did that.
This is honestly the only, other than
From
my
Toronto.
boy Marty,
He's not from Toronto.
he's the only guy I felt is a good cast. I think this guy will be good TV.
Why do you say he's not from Toronto, Jaemeel?
Because he didn't pronounce Toronto properly.
Oh.
Toronto.
I'm from Toronto. Transplant.
You ain't from here. You got to have that accent.
I admit I'm wrong. I admit it. There's the proof. I was wrong.
Kevin was great. I think he was really weird at first, and then he found his footing in the game, and then he kind of narrated the whole show. And I think he deserved to win just for that reason alone.
Yeah, no, I was like, where would you? I think he's like a great Big Brother player. Like, I think you can put him in an all-star cast, no problem. Like, he's worthy. I think that like just his reaction here at the end, he's like, I'm so confused. I'm like, it's okay, Kevin. You don't have to play it up anymore. Maybe he believed it,
He's like, he doesn't know where he is.
He was I think he was confused because I think he just saw Josh getting more votes. I think he thought it was going to be a nail biter, and it was just like, bang, Kevin, bang. It was his name over and over, which is kind of shocking. Like I kind of understood where he kind of was coming from because Josh had the final decision. Like when someone decides to bring you and then you win, you like basically unanimously. That's a hell of a game. Like, it really is.
Well, yeah, because it's always seen as getting dragged there. But you think of like when Cody took Derek and then Derek won the whole thing, right? Back in Big Brother Canada 16, no, Big Brother USA 16. I'm sorry. That's kind of a similar thing. And those two were a duo, but Derek was such a strong player and like was so much. Cody was less manipulative and less like not like this, right? I'm a bit surprised that Josh didn't get maybe 2 more votes. Like maybe like you would think that maybe Jacey-Lynne, for instance, might vote for Josh as one example, but nope.
What was Jacey-Lynne's question to Josh? I'll tell you. Was appearing to be weak part of your strategy? That type of question does not infer that the person believes that you played a really good game.
That's true.
Right, but she was so like, she hated how Helena and Kevin were such liars. Like they showed that in the recap and montage where she didn't respect that. But I think like
the reason why sending Helena to the jury ended up like she was able to explain a whole lot of where all the different skeletons were buried because everything that Kevin knew, Helena knew.
Yeah, it would have been different had Kevin and Helena gone to the end together. Because I think people would have voted more based on personality. And I think probably Helena wins, actually.
Or it's closer.
Yeah.
Going through the rest of the questions, because I had to write it down. Herman was asking, you held your cards close to your chest. What was your game-defining move? Which Kevin gave like, what did he say? He said,
I getting Herman out, I think he said.
I think he practically said that, which wasn't really, in my opinion. But,
no, he was buttering him up. I felt like a couple times like Kevin was just like, all right, I'm just going to get this vote right now because I can,
Moose's question, once again, a slight against Josh. Did you have a number one or was it whomever was HOH that week?
Yeah, he had also said like, "Oh, I hate that fact that he's aligned with everybody," which I think is kind of like that's good gameplay. I thought that was a weird knock.
I thought it was weird that they didn't respect that or that they were so like sour on Josh for that because he was working with everybody. And they would have rather him be more on one side or more loyal to like a group. That I found a bit strange, but like I just think that they talk themselves out of Josh, like maybe like I did, because like I wasn't always as negative on Josh as I became as like the season went on. I guess the more and more, what I think it was, I think it was Betty. I think the more and more that like he was ride or die with Betty, I think that became less respectable. Can we just talk about Betty too in this finale? Because she's cheering on for Josh in that final, in the Kevin versus Josh in that final HOH, right? She's the audience, and she's clearly cheering for Josh, and then Josh evicts her, and just like her reaction and like and how betrayed she is again, after the triple eviction, and then she ends up voting for Josh.
I think she was always going to vote for Josh. But, okay,
I think that's also a part of why she got put on the jury. I think Josh thought he needed her vote.
Yeah.
We didn't, but...
I already said it before. Dave, you didn't hear it. Did you hear what Betty said when she saw the jury? when the jury cheered for her. When
like shut up or something, or like she was
I'm gonna say
like,
it again because it's so great. It's like, I'm not happy with how happy you are. Sit the fuck down.
sit the fuck down. Yeah, like, and they were just like, whoa, you know, like, you know,
And she's like, yeah, that's right. And then she kind of like had a smile and kind of it was
awkward.
It was awkward, but kind of funny.
It was.
Yeah,
I loved it.
I thought about what you said last night, Jaemeel, where you were like, you know, Betty is just not respected or liked overall. Like, I think like people can have like nice conversations with Betty, and I don't think it's like they hate her guts per se, but like I think she's just one of these people that rubs you the wrong way sometimes, you know, or likes to control the narrative, especially around how she's perceived, and has like sort of that.
Which is her and Marty are like two peas in a pod. They
Right.
care so much about it. But the thing is, once the lights are off for Marty, Marty's done. He packed it in. He like all ego and like perception about how he might be perceived was gone. He didn't care. He's like, I'm just here to pick whoever's the best. Like that's my only thing. I don't care about what else happened, you know. You have to respect Marty. You respect Marty at the end of the game. Betty just came across as so bitter and so
petty and I think had the wrong priorities, you know, largely around how she was perceiving this game. And I think that Betty ultimately, you know, for Josh, it's like the double-edged sword. If you're gonna work with Betty that closely and you're gonna, you know, then take her to the end. You know, like, and what are you? Yes, she might win. She could be this underdog story, but obviously he misread Kevin, like how that game would be sold. You could kind of see it in Josh as he was like, as Kevin was making his final pitches. You know, he's just like, oh shit, like, you know.
I think he also listened to Betty's opinion too much of Kevin. Like he didn't play the game, and he's
manipulative. He's a bad guy. And...
No, she literally said he didn't play the game. Like he was basically calling him a floater. And
right.
That was your exact quote. Is like, I'm voting for the player who actually played this game.
Yeah,
that is what she said when she voted. Yeah, and I was like, what does that mean, right? But like.
She thinks he floated on by and was just like a schemer, a squirmer, and didn't really win anything. And that is true. He didn't really win much, but he didn't need to. That's why he got to the end. Like, you know, like and then not only that, he was able to explain it very, very well. And Helena was kind of like his ace in the hole.
Yeah. So here are the quotes for when everyone voted. Herman stated that whoever wins has to buy a car.
Right, which of course he did.
Of course he did. Bruce said he's only voting because he has to.
Which I thought was like too cute. But okay. Yeah.
Gino says he's gonna vet the best VOTE for the best nominee.
Because he lost that competition on the spelling. Yeah.
Which I was fine. I didn't mind that one.
I thought it was good.
Self-deprecating. That was good.
Summer I didn't even put down because it was Summer being petty. Yeah. Marty says he wants to vote for the best player to represent the season. To the other, kick your feet up and relax.
Which was pretty good.
Yeah, Jace in a house full of snakes voting for the King Cobra.
Which I thought when she said that, I was like, "That's Kevin."
Yeah, that's Kevin.
I thought, yeah, I guess that's, yeah. So I guess she was going for. She's not changing her opinion on Kevin. She's just like saying, "No, that's how this game goes." Or
yep.
So.
Helena invisible the whole game, but you'll see this vote, which
there's no way Helena wasn't voting for.
Actually, we didn't see her that vote. That was what was kind of funny because it was over before they got to her vote.
Yeah, workshop that quote. That was pretty terrible.
Yeah, there was a couple times I'm like, Helena, yeah, you got to work on that one. Okay,
you got to work on that.
And then Betty, right? It was I'm betting for the person who played the game.
But is that shows how Josh was not a good player because he believed that Betty's perception would be the jury's perception. But like he should, after having lived in this house for what is this, like 60 something days, almost 70 days, did he not understand that Betty is not she's an outlier in terms of like maybe what the house perception would be or what the jury's perception would be, especially being the last member to join it. You know, like she's not gonna be in that house, jury house, having chats and kind of making her case. Like Helena at least got a couple days to do that, right? You know, so like I think that's all. Maybe the ultimate flaw with Josh is that he just didn't understand. Like, if you're going to use Betty, use Betty like a Victoria, right? Like, or use like if you're going to go to the he had the option to take her, and I think he wins, like for sure. Maybe she gets more votes. It's closer for sure, but I think he still wins unless they're just bitter enough against Josh. It's close.
No, I think he would be better. He would be able to explain himself better than Betty would be at the end of the day, and he would win. He now joins the ranks of Woo,
Cody, even Cody, you know, right?
Yep, Cody and Woo stand out the most to me, but there's other players that have done this, that win that final HOH and then blow it, and you're just like, you're just kind of like, really? Like, how did you not see the person that was going to win?
Paul.
You took that person on purpose.
Yeah, Paul.
You know, yeah, like Paul kind of did it more, I felt like, with the Josh one than with Nicole. I would have taken Nicole too. She's unlikable. I can't believe she won. Like, it was kind of,
it was close. It was like that was a closer vote, right?
I thought Paul deserved to win that year. And then,
Yes.
but the second year, yeah, no, Josh, like Paul
Was
did
so-
kind of
so-
what Josh did tonight, where he didn't own his game. You have to
Yeah.
own your game.
Yeah, and the jury won't respect that. When Tyler lost to Casey,
Yeah.
right? Like it's kind of like in that, right? Where you have that power, you have that option, and
Tyler
you
should have
just-
won. That was a bitter jury. It was kind of like Russell Hantz too. Like, he should have won. Like, certain times I'm like, that person should have won. That was a bitter jury. Like,
But sometimes the jury just doesn't like that person, or they just don't want that person to represent their season, right?
Yeah.
You know, that you see that all the time, and I think they're like, yeah, why not Kevin? Why not the schemer guy who, the villain? You know, like at least he was doing.
They liked him
things.
though. They liked him as a person. Like that, you saw it tonight with the whole cuddling montage, and that was the thing. That Kevin was smart. Like he got along with everyone. That was
He put in work. He put in
yeah.
work and built like actual relationships,
Yeah.
right, with them. As much as he was lying, he was still
Their friend.
there for them, and
Yeah.
and having a good time, and had genuine charisma. Kevin, you know, like he actually really. More when I watched those montages back, you know, with him just like getting along with people, Gino and whoever it was, you know, you're like, oh, okay, like Kevin wasn't like the nerd of the house, because that's kind of what he was like saying part of his testimony, his diary room sessions, and he's like, oh, I'm the nerd, I'm the whatever, but like you really weren't, Kevin. Like you were
but that's
kind of
how he
like
perceives himself. Josh, on the other hand, if we remember, Josh didn't do anything until Jay got into the fire. And then after Jay was gone, Josh was once again not doing anything until he was up for eviction.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he kind of went with Betty.
Like, so you have what, 4 or 5 weeks where he was a non-factor. All those times, Kevin was putting in work. Right. So like you were already behind the 8 ball. So when people are asking, when Jace is saying, did you want to appear weak at the beginning on purpose? Like, she's absolutely correct in her assessment, right? At least you can count and say Kevin was in the library with the, you know, with the wrench. I at least know where he was when this happened. Where was Josh? Josh was in his room lying down by himself, right? Or hanging out with Jay. And then Jay was gone and he was hanging out by himself again. That's what Josh was doing.
Why did everyone want to work with Josh? Josh had a lot of allies, and I remember Josh being so well positioned for like the middle parts of this game, right?
I think a big part of it was, Dave, he didn't win anything at the beginning. He went on this over streak, and I think people were like, oh, he's a good number for me. Like Kevin used him and Helena used him, and just the threat that he could win helped him a lot.
But I remember like feeling like he was with Herman and Moose and Summer at one point. I felt like that was like a group, and then it never. I guess it never really was, but like felt like it was.
Honey Bunch wasn't really a group.
Not
it was a fake group to get. They thought like Herman wanted it to be a giant alliance, and a lot of people used that, like him and Moose, and made them think, oh, you're in this big alliance when they weren't. You know,
at the same time, Josh was this tall, looking athletic guy
Right.
who was, good looking. He fitted with the cool kids. So of course he was going to be in alliances, right? Like that's who they want to pair up with. Summer was in alliance. What did Summer do? Not Summer. Stephanie. I even forgot her name for a second.
Yeah.
She was in
Yeah.
alliances, right? She
Yeah.
did nothing.
With Kyle and Gino and like that was going to be like the popular kid group with with Marty and Jacey-Lynne, and it all got blown up, mainly by Marty. I mean, Marty really kind of screwed everything up for that big alliance.
Marty was the agent of chaos.
He was Chaos Marty throughout this season.
Chaos Marty. Are you surprised Marty won Canada's favorite house guest?
No. I when I thought about it, it made sense. I'm like, oh, okay, because like when you like look at the list and like who am I going to vote for? I think Marty was the most memorable of like those people.
I thought I was like, okay, well, Kevin won Canada's vote, which I was surprised with. I didn't think he was going to get that vote because, like, a lot of people are like, oh, Gino and Jace and Kevin's a bad person. I don't want him to win, so I want Josh to win. But Kevin got it. So who knows if Kevin got Canada's favorite, and because he won the game, he couldn't get it. So in the hierarchy, I would say it would have been what Kevin, Marty, Gino as the top three.
I guess so. Yeah, I like Marty just for being like a train wreck of a player, but like I was surprised. I was a bit like I think Kevin would have probably won it if he had not won the game, right? Like they usually don't give it to both, but I was like, it didn't even really occur to me who. I guess Helena was like the one I guess I thought might get it because she's adjacent to Kevin.
No way. All like Kevin got all the shine.
I liked Helena. I think if I wasn't going to vote for Kevin in the Canada's favor, I would have voted for Helena. But maybe there's just not enough sort of pickup votes there. Even Betty, I would have voted for maybe over Marty.
Really? Wow.
In retrospect, I don't think I would be happy with that vote. Because I just feel like I was feeling better about Betty maybe these last couple days, and then tonight I was like, screw Betty, like you're the worst, Betty, like especially like don't vote for Josh after this, like
I
it's just
she was always going to vote for Josh, and Josh knew that.
even getting evicted, like it was such a but she was so betrayed, right? And she was so shocked, and she was like she couldn't believe it when it happened here tonight. I didn't even really. I just realized that like Helena was evicted 5 days ago, right? Yeah. So like so it's been those three living in that house for 5 friggin' days by just them, right? Like how many conversations had there been about who was going to take who and whatever?
They wouldn't have been in the house because they would have had to come to Toronto to do the taping in the.
I mean, I just mean Betty, Kevin, and Josh. The last 5 days.
In the house.
Yeah.
Right. But
on one of the days they probably did the first HOH, and then on another day they did the second one, right? And then they did the final HOH the same
tonight.
Probably earlier tonight, like early in the day.
Yeah. Who knows? Because it's like it's all inside. There's no audience, and like it's just the house guests and
it's
Arissa.
A shame that, like Kevin didn't get an audience because he would have
his fake wife wasn't even there. Right? Can't she come?
The funniest thing was Jace going, "She's real."
Well, I think she was like, "She is real." She is like because they were like shocked that he wasn't actually married, right? When the secrets were being revealed, right? That was one of them, and so they're like, well, she exists because they were kind of cutting through like don't propose and whatever.
I totally believed he was a marine biologist. I love that. It's like, okay.
Imagine having to lie about your occupation for 70 days, and Josh's like, no way I could do it, man. No way.
I'm exhausted already.
I'm exhausted. It's maybe it's why Josh is so sleepy all the time. He's just tired about lying about being a marine biologist. Mm-hmm. And Josh is like, yeah, I totally believed it. Marty totally believed the thing about Kevin. Friggin' Moose. I got to talk also about Moose and Herman. Those two.
Yeah.
Like, are they gonna like open up something together? Like, are they gonna go
I never want to see them. I never want to see them on Big Brother.
on TV again?
Yeah, no, I've had my fill of Hermod and Moose.
Moose,
Right.
Hermod,
No.
Summer, no more.
No, yeah, I concur, especially with Hermon and Summer. Moose was I could tolerate. Yeah,
Bring back people from season 8.
yeah.
Yeah.
But Hermon and Summer for sure. Like, yeah, like you gotta buy a car. Like that's what you want to go out. That's oh my god. And then Summer, like, oh my god, she's
Just like the whole thing with like just the reactions and how they like go whoa, whoa, you know, and they're just like they're doing that all the time with each other. I'm
yeah.
like, take it easy. Like
I felt like I was watching a basketball game sometimes. I'm just like, you know, like when like a big block just occurred or something. You know?
or it's like that clip where like, you know, the guy does the magic trick and all the people go what?
Right.
You know, and
or Chris Angel or something.
Right. Mind freak.
Yeah,
I was mind freaked.
I'm like, there's no way you're that shocked.
Yeah.
Come on, you guys are just sellers, right? And what do you guys think of the whole segment with Kiefer?
The man with the mullet, big gullet, bigger heart. Let's go.
He was good. I think what they should do, Dave, I was saying before you got on, that whoever wins a Canada's favorite player should get to host that jury segment. Like the next
Marty
year.
next.
Yeah,
Give it to Marty next year.
Yeah, give it to Marty. Whoever wins the America's favorite player or Canada's favorite player, because I think that's a good person to always bring back.
Who will be final three? The final tree? No, the final three.
The tree of the game.
A
So you-
43-year-old man with a bad knee and bad back,
Bad shoulders.
bad shoulders.
Who's going to get back at them?
We'll get back at them.
Big blue,
Oh wait, that's
Wrong
not.
one.
Forgot about Big Blue House.
Wait, here.
big blue couch. Grab a seat and some popcorn with your friends.
All right, I forgot about that too. Wait.
To get back at them.
He's gonna
He was
give
a-
all the jurors a cup, and it's like one of them has a red gummy bear. You get to speak first.
Yeah.
He's like, I tried to get Betty and Josh out so many times, nobody listened to me. You know,
yeah.
Is that f***ing clear enough to you?
it's clear. It's clear, Marty.
Yeah.
Même si personne n'est content que j'ai gagné, j'ai gagné 3. Je suis HOH.
I got Wendy's 3 times.
Wendy's. Let's go to Winners. Gagne.
You're telling me this man did not deserve America's Canada's
Like
best player?
I'm shocked because he was so like normally somebody who shows that much anger at people and swears and curses like that is not going to win the top favorite person. But
I'm just so happy it wasn't like it was him and like not Summer. I'm just so glad that not Summer won, because if Summer had won that, it would
her
have
head
been
would have exploded.
it would have been unbearable.
Although
They would've just-
it would have been great if Arissa goes, here's the standings of who got America's favorite player. Summer, you were in last place.
Even Milena was
Milena
somehow
beat
higher.
you by 200 votes.
Melina, yeah.
Yeah, I like that they actually went through the pre-jurors too, and gave them all a quick little moment. Let's because sometimes on the American version they don't even go that far.
Yeah.
They're like, there's the pre-jurors, there are their faces, and they might
put a lot of
wave.
content in these 2 hours.
Yeah, they had to fill the content. Didn't feel. I didn't feel like it was dragging too much. The only thing that dragged was that first part of the HOH where they had to put the little pieces on them.
I loved it.
Yeah,
I
just
didn't-
them getting frustrated.
I didn't hear any numbers. I didn't hear about any days. It was great.
That part was nice, but it just I get that they were doing it for like hours and hours, right? And they're carrying those things and just watching, like, it was obviously a frustrating thing to do. And then Kevin's the one who comes through. In the part 2,
Betty came close. Betty came really close.
Betty did much better, because in part 2, what did Josh do part 2 in like 36 minutes, and she took like 2.5 hours or something? Is that right?
He did it in the quarter of the time she did,
And he was like so worried. He's like, "Oh man, I spent so much time on that one question."
which
But
was
Betty-
like 4 minutes. You know,
Like, are you
Well,
really that worried that Betty's gonna do better than you in this?
I
You
mean,
know?
especially if I went first, you never know, right? Like
You never know, but like, yeah, it just
and it was beanbag toss. It wasn't exactly you had to be the most athletic, you know.
Mhm.
But being tall helped. I think that was what helped him.
That he could just
Oh,
drop down.
Yeah,
yeah.
she's
But it-
short. She's like 5'0", and he's like 6'3".
But she
So-
did good in the hula hoop toss. She did good at that back. She didn't win it, but she did a good.
Right.
Well,
You didn't need to be tall to be good at that, you know. Like you just had
'Cause
to
you're throwing
you
it
know.
up.
it's just like throwing stuff, you know. And then the third part, the whole thing about the days and everything else, and then it comes down to like a chalkboard thing.
Wait,
You know, ultimately,
I don't like it.
before we even get to that, what's the point of going? It's going to sudden death. You have one question and then you go to chalk. I'm like, wait,
I feel like they did more sudden death questions, but they edited them out.
They need to change it up and stop doing a questionnaire to decide the final part. I don't like it. I think what it would be better if they did like a Survivor style, like, you know, I just don't like it being like, yeah, like questions. Like, you know, we get it. They study, you know,
They
think
study, and they always like, yeah, they might slip up. Like
Right.
in each Josh and Kevin slipped up once.
it's just
right?
not good TV. Like whoever wins, it's very like, oh, okay, I guess that person.
here's the ultimate problem with the numbers. You can have the numbers as the final HOH question thing, but you can't have it for, you know, part of HOH part 2, plus also the final 4 HOH, plus you can't have it for the final 5 veto, and you can't have it for the final 6 HOH. You can't have it for the final 7.
Yeah,
veto.
you're right. They've
Like,
been doing it for so many weeks in a
so
row.
many
Yeah.
weeks.
It's too many.
It's just it's crazy how many competitions they themed around this, and you know, like I'd rather just like by the end I'm like, just play a game of foosball or something,
Yeah.
Josh and Kevin, and whoever wins foosball is the final HOH.
Yeah.
That'd be better.
The Americans do the end game a little bit better than like from what I noticed here in Big Brother Canada. It's very Big Brother by numbers, and it's like okay, but I did like the first two. I like the first part tonight, like the balance, the discs. I thought that was a good competition.
Me
but
too.
The other two kind of sucked.
Just like who cares? Who cares who wins it? You know.
I'm disappointed that I didn't get Buzzkill this season.
Yeah, we got robbed of buzzkill because of the buzzers were killed.
Which
they were not
to
working.
me is insane with how elaborate some of these HOHs and vetoes have been in terms of its production design, and a simple buzzer didn't work properly. We got to kill the competition.
And make a new competition about numbers and days or whatever. Is that what happened, or
Yeah,
it became
exactly
something
what
like that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's the best we can come up with. What if we asked them if like was Jess voted out before or after Moose was on the block for the second time? I don't know. Like
The audience doesn't care, and neither should the players. You know, like it gets to a point where it's like do good TV, you know, and don't make it so. The contestants all know now. It's been 20 years of this. It's been like they all know that it's going to be a questionnaire. It's going to be know your days, and it's just I don't like it.
How
I think
many doors are in the house?
Yeah.
What is the color of door number 42?
it should be like questions about like the house guests, maybe. That would be more interesting to me. Like but I guess, you know,
No questions.
No questions.
No questions. It's not good TV.
Yes, ask questions. Why don't you ask general questions about Canada?
Oh, Stephanie wouldn't do well. Does Canada have lakes?
Lakes. We have the most lakes in like the world. Like
Yeah.
it's-
She lives in Toronto next to Lake Ontario.
Let the dummy fail. I don't care.
right. Like I don't need it to be Jeopardy. I would much rather it be like do a questionnaire in the first two parts. I know it's all for TV and stuff, but how long did it take them to do like they tape everything anyway on this show. It's not as like live as the American.
Well, it
show.
used to be before the COVID, and then it became this.
No, it's still live to tape.
It was always live to tape.
Yeah.
But I
Because
guess
they would do like the live evictions at like 4 or 5 p.m.
right. But it was. I guess back then it was like, or in those days it was like everybody was NDA'd, and you weren't allowed to talk about it or tweet about what was going to happen until it aired.
Yeah.
If you were in the audience, sure, fine. But yeah, then you get this format, which like next season we got to have like an audience again, right? Like just at least for the finale.
We'll see for Big Brother Big Brother US.
Big Brother US, yeah, like they're coming up in the summer.
If they don't, then shoot. If that's the case, I might see if I can get to Studio City, see if I can get some tickets to go see it,
or at least have like if you don't want to do it in the room, like have an audience, like I don't know, at a restaurant or something. Like the hometown, like the hometown fans. Like here's Kevin's camp coming to you from like the keg in Toronto or something. I don't know.
Right.
Real
sports.
Real sports. And then coming to us from Vancouver, here's Josh's family and friends, right? You know, like why can't you do that?
Good. I just don't like the questionnaire. I don't like things going to chalk. I just don't like it. It's just boring. It's for an audience. It's boring.
What was the question was like, what's the combined amount of hours of all the house guests in jury together? Like, or all the jurors, like, so from when Herman got there, all his hours in jury, etc.
No, it's all the people in the house who are in the jury.
Yeah. How long have they been there? Right.
No, in the actual house.
Oh, in the actual house. Yeah. And Josh won that. That's how he gets it here. But
it was 7,105, I think it was what 10.
Kevin gets 10,000, and it was like in the 8,000s.
Yeah, Kevin went over by 2,000 or so.
Yeah.
But like, does that mean he doesn't deserve to win or not? You know, it's strange, right? Like, it's ultimately he does win anyway, but it's just random. Like, just flip a coin. Have part 1, have part 2. Whoever flip a coin for part 3. That would be better. Or like roll the dice. Or
if this is taped in advance.
Why not? Why do the 3 parts? Why not do like whoever wins part 1 is HOH? They're in the final 2, and then the other 2 battle it out to see who's going to win, like the veto, you know. And then whoever wins that gets to be in the final 2, and the third person's out.
That seems better.
But they don't do that because they want what we had tonight. They want someone to make a decision,
and they want someone to make the wrong decision, take the wrong person to final 2.
Enter Josh. Thank you.
But tonight, but it would have been the same final 2 in my scenario. It would have been Josh and Kevin, would have sat beside each other, and I think that would be better because then you like at least earned it, like you had 2 chances to win your chance into the final 2, and if you lose both of them, tough shit.
I think you would be making a decision to say that we don't want to put the pressure on the person who wins HOH. We keep seeing that the HOH keeps losing, so we want to make it an even playing field. So that's why we want to do it that way. That would have to be the explanation.
Yeah. Wow.
Did you like the season, Dave?
I liked the season. I thought it was a bit long, to be honest. Like I thought that they could have done it a bit faster, because like. Just the fact that Helena was evicted 5 days ago, like it's kind of insane to me. Like, and they only showed that yesterday.
The finale should have been Wednesday.
I feel like if I was a live feed junkie, I think it would have been more annoying for me, because because there were so many blackout periods, and you didn't know what was going on, and like, season wise, it worked okay. I thought that this cast was good. I thought that they were dynamic. There were no duds really, Like I think who were on the duddier side of the scale, a lot of them got cut pre-jury.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was a good cast for the most part.
Particularly Milena, I was like, get her out of here. Like she's not going to be fun.
Well, we didn't really get to see what she was going to bring.
Yeah,
it was
Stephanie was a dud.
Stephanie was a dud. I thought, I wasn't a big fan of Tynesha. I know people liked her, but. I didn't really thought she brought a lot,
No, I was kind of glad to be gone. Like, yeah, that would be another example. Where it's like I drafted Tynesha, and I was just like, you're not bringing a lot. All you're just going on and on about your daughter. That's all you want to talk about.
Which I understand. I understand that, but it's not great TV. You know?
Like whatever. Like lots of people have daughters. Like it's like it's.
Dave.
Like this is why they seem to not cast a lot of parents, because that is what they want to talk about.
Marty's a father. He didn't talk about it endlessly.
I don't even know if he ever talked about it on the show.
But how old is his child in
They're
comparison?
grown up. They're grown. Yeah.
Compared to Tanisha.
7 years old. Yeah,
Yeah.
And what does
why
that mean?
it's different a little
the
bit.
kid is still young. Barney's kids, the ball's already dropped. They're gone. They're out of the house.
Well, like I don't think they're that old. Like he's only 43.
He's with bad shoulders.
A 43-year-old man with a bad knee and bad shoulders.
And Canada's favorite house guest, 3-time HOH.
He needs to do some Rub 35445 commercial.
He's some icy hot.
Icy hot. I want to see.
Yeah.
Shaq, hook him up.
The man
Just
from
Phil-
Little Rock.
Just fill and chill.
When you want to get back into game.
To get back at them.
Get back at them.
Rub icy hot.
Icy hot. Just fill and chill.
Yeah.
You saw did you see the other house guests just when they found out Marty was the winner? I think they were just like, what? Marty? Like, I think Betty probably, it was like the worst case scenario for Betty. You know, she was just like,
She's like, wait, I get eliminated at 3 by Josh. Josh doesn't win, and Marty wins.
Yeah, she got kicked in the teeth twice, didn't she?
right. She's like, send me back to Edmonton and never look back.
Yeah.
You know?
As everyone leaves the studio, it's like just everyone knows. Here are pamphlets of any some counseling after this season. Betty, here's
Summer.
a special one for you. Summer. Summer, enjoy.
Right. Yeah, like I thought that the season was I was way more impressed with this season compared to Big Brother Canada 9. Tashawn,
I think you
As
just
the-
did like the ending. You did like from Final 4 on. I think you had an issue with.
did I like?
Yeah, you would have hated on this season had Josh won this.
I would not be feeling as good about it. I was like, no, it was like justice.
It was Braden, Tayshawn, Tara, and
the other
who was the fourth?
Jensen? Was
I think
Jensen
it
or Beth?
Was Beth the last one? It was Jensen, then Beth, then no Kiefer.
I'm just gonna
Kiefer
check
last
here.
longer.
Kiefer was 4th.
Yeah, so Kiefer, Tara, Braden, and
Tashawn.
Tashad. I think
Yeah.
4 was where it kind of turned for you.
It was even before that. Like I liked like Rohan, for instance, and like some of the other people who I was kind of more impressed with were just
Rohan.
gone.
Listen to yourself. You were impressed with Rohan.
I know. I know. Come on, like there was some moments with
Yeah, just like, it's the Rose Show, baby.
yeah, exactly.
I want to give a shout out to my parents for creating this absolute champion.
Please.
Well,
Yeah.
not champion of
What?
anything,
What?
but-
When did he put it out? Like 7th?
Yeah, he was even lower than that, I think.
It's pretty painful, the Canadian shows sometimes. You know, like they
8th.
say things that they're told to say, and you're just like, oh, this is so painful. Like this is so clearly like a scripted like line read,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah.
So that's kind of what I
Look, Jeff
noticed.
loved the season. Like, it's a.
Well, like, to me, like I think Kevin is like the Canadian Dr. Will.
I watched the season. That was an accomplishment for me to get to the end was definitely a good Big Brother season. For the Canada version, I do find that guys, that if we're comparing it to the American version, I just really feel that the American version is a little tighter. The characters are a little bit more fleshed out. They seem like less stilted, like and there's a lot more money and there's a lot more production behind it. The Canadian version does a good job. It's adequate, but like you said, Dave, like it's a little forced. Like there's so many moments where it's like Herman or Moose or certain people where you're just like, oh, can you dial it back just a notch? Like, yes, I know you're on TV, but like I'd much rather see like the real person. That's why I think like Kevin and Helena were people like them, because like, oh, okay, they were actually at least just being themselves,
There's a definite difference between the Canadian casting and the American casting. And it's not just, for me, it's like the Americans have more, they have a different vibe. Like a lot of them do. Like there's diversity in both groups, but in the Canadian group, it's like we're gonna have like these non-binary people, and we're gonna have like these kind of people, and we're gonna have all like it's way more liberal, and it's like we gotta represent the First Nations, and we gotta be more diverse and more inclusive. And in the American version, it's just like like cookout notwithstanding, like you get more of a there's obviously like red America, blue America, and like you kind of feel that mix more, I guess.
But there's a red Canada and a blue Canada. Like how many people in this season vote conservative?
None.
I mean, half the country votes conservative. The popular vote was conservative.
Yeah, but that's not what we see in this casting.
I think
like
who votes blue in this cast?
I think Herman.
Yeah, Herman, maybe Kyle.
Maybe Kyle.
I doubt it.
Who's from out west? Who's from like
Josh?
Betty? Betty might.
Betty does not.
Betty so would. Betty, she so would.
I just think if you're out from out
She's
west,
like, I don't trust the liberals.
You have a higher
burden, but
you have a higher chance of voting blue if you're from Saskatchewan or Alberta.
It's more of like a kumbaya feel with this Canadian cast versus the American cast. You got more like cutthroat, more like business minded types. It's like you get like people like Big D in Big Brother USA.
You get a lot more recruits, is what you're saying.
More recruits,
States,
yeah.
yes.
You get like a Cody, like a the Cody I mean from not Cody.
You get more models
And just kind of like shallow people, and like
you're not making a really great case for your situation at all. None of what you mentioned is enticing. Recruits, models, nah, man. I don't care.
I'm not even trying to make it enticing. I'm not even saying the American is better. It's
the production is better. I wouldn't say the casting's better.
I wouldn't even say the production is better. I think like the production in terms of the way that they present the information is better because it's more reserved as opposed to Big Brother with the ghost, and it's like geez, like
it's over the top. It's like at a 12.
Yeah,
and like I feel like regular Big Brother in the States is like at a 9. It knows it's silly. It's more self-aware. And whereas I find with Big Brother Canada, it's just like you get to a point where you're just like shaking your head. You're just like, oh,
like just like tonight, Arissa like gets up there with her dress. Like this dress was designed by like natives out in BC or something. Respect, and I'm like,
she had like eyes on her shoulders, right?
And that's fine. I don't have anything against it. It's just it's you wouldn't see Julie Chen do that, right? Like
no.
it's just there's less. The Canadian version has more of a liberal, more of like a kumbaya,
more left
side of the country, whatever. And that's the side I vote on anyway, guys. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying that like it's more one note. It doesn't feel as.
I feel like like I agree. Like if you swapped casts, right, and put this Canadian cast on the American show, a lot of people would lose their minds.
The Americans would lose their minds completely.
Not all of them, but
half of them.
But a lot of them lost their minds this last year with the cookout. On Big Brother. Whereas, they don't seem to do that like with Survivor though. Survivor, because I think Survivor is very good at being careful and they can edit everything and whereas the American show and the live feeds are like that's a whole culture that the Canadian show hasn't caught up to yet. As far as people following it and real diehards and they have a fan base, but it's not the same as the States.
The Canadian version is way more like reserved with the feeds. They're like the feeds are a privilege. We give you this, whereas in the Americans they pay for the feeds. There's more of like these people are in a fishbowl and they're like we're gonna make them dance and
it's more like Hunger Games.
It's more like Hunger Games. There's more of a viciousness to the Americans, and the Canadian version is way more polished and controlled.
When you're talking about like viciousness, you're not talking about Canada. You're not talking about US.
I'm talking about the US.
UK is the most vicious fan base, most rabid fan base when it comes to Big Brother.
Well, I'm not saying that can't be true. Yeah, but like I'm just comparing USA to Canada, and like there's definitely a vibe difference, in how much they go out of their way to push certain things, in the show. And I think that's fine, but I actually find the American one the whole reason I started even watching Big Brother USA, right? Going back to Big Brother 15, I was like, I hate all these people. I just want to see like them suffer, kind of was where I came around on all of it. I want to see like the worst aspects sometimes of like
You picked a perfectly good season to do so.
Yeah, even like the most recent, like the celebrity versions are like very similar to where you're just like screw these people. Like,
well, I watch Big Brother because I want to see strategy, and I want to see people win a game show, right? And I want to see the best person win. That's what I care about it, right?
Well, me too. Like, yes and no, but I also like seeing the social experiment of it all.
There's no real social experiment to me, in my opinion. That's always just the kind of
that was always like the pitch of the show. But I agree. It's more of a game now. It's a TV show that's like more for getting your brand out there, social influencing. That's kind of what Big Brother has become. It didn't used to be that way. It did used to be more that social experiment that you're saying, Dave. But now it's like it's more of a spectacle now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. So like we'll see. When the American version comes around in a couple months, we'll say how is this different? How is this the same?
Yeah. I'm interested to see what the cast looks like this year for the American version. Yeah, because I wonder what's going to happen because the race there was a lot made about race on the last season of Big Brother. I wonder, do they double down? Do they?
It's gonna be a train wreck.
It's not as I don't think it'll ever be as diverse as the Canadian version. The Canadian version is definitely diverse. Survivor has become a lot more diverse.
Watch it this year. You're gonna see a whole ton of South Asian and Asian individuals on this show, and there's gonna be like maybe 2 black people
on BBUS.
On BBUS.
Yeah, I could see maybe even a
You're
Native
not
American.
to load up on 6 black people again for a while.
I would imagine they might not, because I do think they got a lot of backlash from the cookout.
I didn't have a problem with the cookout.
It even matter with you. I think it matters more with the sponsors.
Right.
Yes, and like I do think I remember when BBUS was going on last year. Everyone was like, I read so many comments where people were like, I'm boycotting this season. I'm never watching Big Brother again. There was a lot of that, and that's not, if you're running a business, you're gonna try and remedy that.
2. There's gonna be 2 loaded with South Asian and Asian individuals. Watch it.
3, maybe 3. I could see 3.
3 Asian and maybe 2 South Asian.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for the cookout,
yeah, that's right.
But okay, we're now almost a complete year post cookout, right? And a lot of people were like, "Oh no, reality television is going to change. All the black people are going to team up." Did happen in Survivor 2 seasons in a row, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did happen in Big Brother Canada, right?
No, I think it was never said explicitly, but I feel like,
come on, like people were worried. People like, they're gonna team up.
Oh, I could tell Marty in particular was worried about it. So I think like that a lot of his actions and his decisions were driven about it. He never said as much, but like
that whole like Marty, racial thing really got quiet really at the end. No one said anything after in the end. I didn't see any of that discourse online either.
Yeah, it just kind of went away, right? So anyway. Okay, so I think, guys, we good on this one?
I've said my piece.
I've said our piece. Tonight, I was also talking about Star Trek. There was 2 new episodes that came out. One was the premiere of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which I absolutely loved. And would really recommend.
How much did you love?
I super really loved it.
Favorite Star Trek show on right now?
No, Lord, that's Lower Deck. Stop it.
It's not Lower Decks level, but it's pretty good. And it was very refreshing. I thought that this new show was refreshing. I also talked about the season 2 finale of Star Trek Picard. I was less loving that. Jaemeel, your camera's like zooming in on you there. It's like
It's following him.
okay. I was like, oh, what's going on?
He's Herman. Yeah, it made me think of Herman too.
Yeah.
Are you the host of this here game show?
Right. So you guys should check out those podcasts if you like Star Trek. We have Live Long and Podcast. Check out that channel. And then Trivial Debates, our other one, where we argue about movie, TV, sports, and game show format. We just did the most recent one with Eamon Mader hosting. It was something. It happened. So you should check that out if you haven't already. Jeff, you ever checked that out one yet?
I've not. I will.
Your nephew.
Right. He was he was judging.
Yeah, with Matt George and Tim Seymour and Kevin Lard.
That's tough competitors. Yeah, very different arguing styles from all three.
Well, like Kevin and Tim know each other a bit, but Matt didn't really know either of these guys, so it was kind of interesting to see that all play out. Also on Super Mario Brothers podcasting, we talk about other things. I'm hoping we can maybe talk next week about Doctor Strange. I don't know if Jeff, you're hoping to see it or planning to see it, but and Jaemeel as well, because he was going to go originally tonight, but that didn't happen, right? So, I'm seeing it tomorrow, but I'll wait till you guys see it.
Thank you, Cineplex, for reimbursing me because I didn't go to see it tonight. I greatly appreciate it. I tried to give it away, and no one wanted it. The ticket.
Have you watched Moon Knight yet, Jaemeel?
I did rewatch it today.
You were all through all 6 episodes?
I watch it week to week. I'm not, a person that
binges.
Binges. I'm not a binger.
You're not a binger. Well, I liked Moon Knight quite a bit. I thought that would be a fun one to talk through, and we got to give a rating to it. So maybe we do that around the same time we do Doctor Strange. Just to kind of bang both out. And so check out our other podcasts here on Super Mario Brothers Podcasting. Jeff talked about the Beatles back in January. The Beatles Get Back documentary from Peter Jackson. Still one of some of our top viewed videos ever are those 3.
Because the Beatles never fail to sell.
Yeah, they're still a bestseller after all this time. Survivor season 42 as well here on the podcast. We've got probably 3 more weeks of that until that season wraps. So if you want to check out any of our content, make sure to do so. And check out our friends' podcast, including Dav and Scalehorn, who's got Luke Cuters of Trek and the X-Men, the animated series, X-rated rewatch series. We got Michael Chan and Alex Blackburn doing the they do it themselves. It's not directly affiliated, but they do the Hellbound podcast, a horror podcast. And Eamon Mader under his alias Sam Jerka. Let's talk about fighting games, where apparently Mega Man's not a fighting game. Did you know?
Mega Man appears in fighting games like Marvel vs. Capcom,
right.
1 and 2 and 3.
I could see the argument. It's more of an adventure solo RPG.
It's a platformer. It's a platformer.
Like Mario. Is Mario a fighting game?
No, but there's a podcast in his feed that they literally talked about Mega Man.
It was a bonus episode.
It was a bonus episode. He's like, Dad, it's not a fighting game. I'm like, why is it in your podcast? He's like, it was a bonus episode. It's different, so.
It's a bonus episode. Mega Man X is a great game. Everyone should check it out if you've never played it.
Hard. Especially the first Mega Man. Oh my God, so hard.
Well, Mega Man X, not Mega Man 1.
Rich was good at it. Rich always found a way. Our brother Rich. He was the best video gamer ever knew.
God, it's hard.
Still no. He's still around.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's it. The finale has happened. We need to go out on a Kevin quote here. Maybe the Winter Baby. Yeah. I think we need Winter Baby. Okay. Winter Baby in the winter song.
I love the winter loves me. I'm a winter baby in the winter baby in the winter. Who says it's spring when we could have snow? Who says it's spring? No. I'm a winter baby in the winter.
And remember, someone is always watching.